Well, I'm glad to see the 2015 Boston Marathon get pulled off without a hitch. Of the top 10 men finishers, 3 were from Ethiopia, 4 were from Kenya, 2 from the US, and 1 from the Ukraine. On the women's side, 4 were from Kenya, 4 were from Ethiopia, and 2 were from the USA. It looks to me like the winners from Kenya and Ethiopia all tend to be lighter than the US runners. That's definitely an advantage. Meanwhile, back in the Boston courtroom, the trial for Joe Sakanaya has concluded, and he has been found guilty of mass murder and terrorism. And it's now moved into the penalty phase. They're trying to decide whether they should give him the death penalty or life in prison. Several of the surviving victims have come forward and said they don't want him killed. As I see it, the problem with giving someone like this life in prison is that they're not really given life in prison. The sentence is for the convicted person to be held for life or until we get a really liberal governor like, say, Mike Dukakis, who then starts issuing weekend furloughs to the killers. The only sure way to make sure that this person doesn't end up on the streets blowing up people again is to terminate him. One of my favorite statements on the death penalty came from a presidential candidate named Ross Perot. As I recall, Ross Perot was asked about his position supporting the death penalty. And the reporter asked him if he was a Christian. The reporter asked if he was a Christian. And if he was a Christian, wouldn't he then forgive the convicted person and not execute them? Ross Perot's answer to this was, yes, I am a Christian, and yes, I would forgive him, and then I'd kill him. He's my kind of man. So anyhow, I'm hoping that this bomber terrorist that hurt and killed all those people at the marathon in 2013 gets the death penalty. But this being Massachusetts, he probably won't. And this being Massachusetts, the question is, how long will it be before some governor comes along and starts giving people like this weekend furloughs? Meanwhile, over towards Yemen, we have the aircraft carrier USS Theodore Roosevelt conducting activities in the area and shadowing a group of Iranian ships that are now headed towards Yemen and suspected of carrying arms. The Obama administration is giving mixed messages as to why the U.S. aircraft carrier is there and shadowing this Iranian convoy. State Department spokesperson Marie Harf insisted Tuesday that the U.S. ships are only there to ensure that the shipping lanes remain open, while Pentagon sources say the ship is conducting manned reconnaissance of the Iranian ships. Sounds to me like a very dangerous situation. Kind of sounds to me like a standoff similar to the ones we had back in the 60s when the Cuban Missile Crisis cropped up after Russians started dropping what appeared to be nuclear weapons into Cuba. That standoff ended well for the U.S., but I think it's a bad move to keep rolling the dice like that. Sooner or later, it isn't going to end pretty. Did anyone happen to see the DEA Administrator Michelle Learnhardt testify before Congress on Tuesday? She was basically asked what had been done about allegations that DEA agents had engaged in sex parties that were paid for by drug cartels. Congressman wanted to know if she had fired anybody or anybody had been disciplined for these alleged actions. Her response was basically that although she's the head of the department, she has no authority to fire any agents, and that no agent had been disciplined because of the allegations, nor had the allegations been checked out. Word on the Hill seems to be that she's facing mounting pressure to resign. Meanwhile, over in Japan, I see that Japan's Maglev train breaks its own speed record at 375 miles per hour. I took the MBTA train from Kingston to Boston and then back again once. I get nervous when the train's doing 70 miles an hour. There is absolutely no way that I'm going to step foot on a train that plans to reach 375 miles an hour while I'm on it. The article went on to say that this train is not like a regular train that goes on wheels. This train is actually levitated off of the tracks magnetically and hovers above the rails as it moves. This still does not instill any confidence with me. I'll take the slow train, please. Thank you. Well, anyhow, that's it for now, folks. If you like these videos, click on that little old thumbs up like button, and you might also want to subscribe just to be updated when new videos are put up. So anyhow, keep the rubber side down, stay safe out there. Remember, there's danger everywhere. And also, remember, I'll be back.